Man, this is what no sleep looks like, buddy.
You could be here. It's 32 degrees. It's snowing out.
I would rather not do that. It's like supposed to be 70 here today, so I'm just gonna take that and roll with it. Oh my goodness. Barry's here today to record drums
It's awesome.
and uh you know, I wish we had like boat time, man. It's kind of
Well,
I keep trying to get him down here to do like fun stuff, but not that music isn't fun, but it's work. It's always work.
yeah. Barry in his element is on a boat. His owl out open to the sun. He's
The
grilling,
owl,
catching fish. Like
yeah,
he's just
dude.
like he's marrying on the boat. That's prime Barry.
That's what I'm trying to get him. I'm trying to get him I'm trying to get him at least 20 miles offshore to a reef somewhere, maybe 60, 80 miles to catch some bigger fish, but and just, lathered up in
Dale's Pale Ale.
yeah, and some lathered up in Dale. Hey, we don't use sunscreen. We just like use IPA. Um and that's the state I'm trying to get him to, but just I mean, if he wants to hang around till well, no, because tomorrow Zach's here, so there is no real like, there's no time to do that. But I mean, it's not like it's the last time. We got a lot more stuff to record. We're just tracking drums for one song
Was
today.
the three other guys, who is the most fun when they're in work mode? Taking yourself out of it. Who do you think who could you always be working with nonstop and be like, man, this is fun. It doesn't feel like work. Like it's just no like
I'll be honest with you, man, Brent, because not because he's more fun or something, because Brent keeps it fun. Like a lot of the time, it doesn't. I mean, to believe it or not, it's like the one thing that he doesn't get ultra
flustered.
in ultra intense about is all the stuff. The stuff that I get ultra intense about is the stuff that he does not get ultra intense about. And so, but with the other two guys, the stuff that I'm intense about, they're also intense about. So like today will be like an intense, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I try to keep it. Here's the thing. Like it's my job to keep all of that away from them when we're working. So my job today is, look, being a record producer is, I'm going to push this down a little bit. Uh, I'll frame myself better. Being a record producer is 85% psychologist. So it's not, in this case, the record producer needs a psychologist worse than anybody else. But it's my job to like take on all of their anxieties, and even if I have the anxieties about the same things they have anxieties about, like, man, I don't know if this, I'm not talking about my band, I'm just talking in general. I don't know if this person is going to be able to nail this part or not. But my job is to tell them how they're going to nail it and how awesome it's going to be and how much confidence I have in them that they're going to be fine and they're going to nail it. And then if we get in the weeds on it, trying to find a workaround that to them doesn't feel like a workaround, so I can get the thing I need. It's like but so I'm acting a lot of the time in here. It's like I'm an actor in a lot of ways. Like I can't be that when I'm producing, I can't be that miserable. Not miserable. Sorry, it's a bad word. That's the first word that came out. I can't be that like that starving artist person. I've got to be. I've got this handled. You've got this handled. This is going to be the most amazing thing ever. Even if inside I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna be really hard, and I'd rather be in bed right now, not because I don't want to be doing my job, but because it's gonna be difficult.
Yeah.
Uh, I'd rather be in bed. Jeez, man, I'm batting 1,000 this morning. That's not really what I meant to say. I would never rather be in bed than producing music, I promise. But uh, yeah, I'm worried about this thing. So it's my job to not be worried. So here's the thing is like whether or not that's what Brent's doing whenever he and I are working is like he knows that I'm stressed, so he's going to act not stressed. He is like my producer, if that makes sense.
Interesting. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So, uh, uh, and that's what Doug would do too, man. Doug McKean, who unfortunately passed away. But Doug would produce the producer as well. That was honestly, man, like one of the huge things that Doug did for me was would just calm me down. Like he produced the producer. Hey man, this sounds great, dude. This is gonna be awesome. Like I don't know what you're worried about. And then, you know what? And the thing is, I know he wasn't giving me lip service because in the end, everything did sound awesome. I just couldn't see it at
Correct.
the time,
Yeah.
right? Uh,
Does Rickard right now act almost as like a GM for you in there? Kind of like how does he
no,
play into all this?
Rickard is well, first of all,
Psychologically, I mean,
well,
physically we know what he does, but like
first of all,
psychologically,
I don't know if there is a person who cares more about what's going on than Rickard does. Like, Rickard cares about all of the minutia that I'm forgetting about. He genuinely like Rickard is here's the thing. This is why we have such a good working relationship because a lot of times in like a Hollywood situation, like movie making situation or in a record making situation, like everyone has their place and you're not supposed to say certain things to the producer or to the director or what. And that's the most ridiculous way to work, but that's how things work. Like, Rickard will stop the whole show. He'll say, "Stop. You know, I got to make sure this microphone's doing blah blah blah." You know, and he's just adamant about it. Like stop. Like whereas like in some other creative recording studio situations, the and this isn't always the case, but I've been in situations where it's like everybody's like super like, hang on, when I get a second, I'm gonna go in there and make sure that this is this. Now he'll just be like, I know y'all are being creative right now, but hang on, like this has got to be right. Uh, so for Rickard for me is just another me. Like he's the when I have to get into producer mode and I have to turn off engineer mode, he's making sure everything's still operating correctly and that we're not making technical mistakes. And that doesn't mean we still don't make technical mistakes. We've made technical mistakes before together, uh, quite famously in certain
yeah.
ways, just like everybody does. But um, and then yeah, man, he's just got a good heart. Rickard's fun to be around, man. It's like Rickard's also levity in a way, but he also knows when like things are serious, not to be like jokey up too much, if things are getting serious. But uh, he's just really good at what he does, man. Dude, I'm super proud of him, man. He is like um uh I've seen in him a lot of what I have, which is self-doubt and these things, over the years. Not but he has morphed into a very capable mixer and a very capable engineer and a very capable producer and um he's working with a lot of other bands now that like he does more stuff we do more he does more stuff not with me than we do together, which used to not be the case.
Right.
He does stuff on his own. Um Here at the studio, he records drums and stuff here, but he mixes at his house and he does a great like whatever setup he has in this bedroom at his house or this mixing room at his house is like great because he nails mixes, like especially drums, man. He nails like and he and I both love like natural drum sounds, like
Yeah.
not these like overproduced sounding drums. Like you just want the drums to sound like a drum kit, but to sound amazing, but to sound like the instrument that was recorded. And he is wildly good at that, man. So uh yeah, man. So Rickard has he produces the producers some too, for sure.
And
But
then how does like someone like when Kelly's around, obviously, and you're in this producer hat situation, how hard is it to kind of jump between that and husband, homeowner, like personal,
oh,
like
dude, it's well, I'm doing it right now. Like it's I've had some stuff going on with my
yeah,
family, and
yeah,
and so like I'm trying to edit videos
right,
and like do my normal and like I have deadlines. That's one thing that people don't understand. People in my family don't understand, and I'm not throwing. I know my family listens to this, so I don't want them to be like, oh my, you don't think we understand? Well, I know you understand, and I know you know, but like I don't have a job where I can just go. Well, yeah, I'm not going to be able to come into work this week. No, it's
right.
like, no, now it's like, because I have deadlines and I have people that are relying on me and I have dates I have to meet. And look, if something serious happens, I can push those things around a little bit, but like they're there. Uh, and so, there is no real balancing it. It's just adding on to. It's like and maybe that's the problem with my brain and the way that I think about it. Why I have issues with that kind of stuff is that I don't ever think about it. I've gotten a lot better at dealing with it calmly, and I think I've talked about this too on the podcast. But how I turned a lot of things over to God this year, and I was just like, you know what,
Yep.
like I can't handle this stuff on my own. I need help with it. There's a lot of peace in that, man. When things start coming at you, and I don't handle it very well all the time. Like sometimes I get, and dude, the second that I get worked up about it, chaos, and exactly the opposite. It's like, oh, you're trying to handle this stuff too much. Like, just let it happen and deal with it, you know? Um, but since I did that, like when things happen and I start piling things on top, it's like this is going to work out because this is what it's supposed to be. It's not always going to be perfect and it's not always going to be what you want, and you're going to have to deal with things, but uh, you know, so there really isn't like a I don't know, I just put it on top of the pile. Like I've got stuff I have to do this week with Kelly with some stuff at a property and she's asking me, "Hey, do you have time?" And I'm like, I'll make time. I got it.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll figure it out. It doesn't mean that internally I'm not like, oh, you know, like not aggravated, but just like worked up about how I'm going to make all this stuff happen. I don't sleep. I mean, you know, occasionally I'll get some sleep, but you know,
The
I think how many nights a week do you feel like you sleep? Like sleep?
if I'm home like I am right now and not like in a weird work schedule or on a bus or flying
Mhm.
early, I would say I really only need 6 or 7 hours to feel like really
Yeah.
good. But if I stay up watching movies and like I know I have to record a podcast at 9 p.m., I'm still gonna stay up till 4 just because I'm not tired. And I'll probably feel it later that day. But like I'm not like your type of sleep schedule would probably mess me up because it's like I don't know how good I would be at my job if I'm actively working and only getting a couple hours of sleep.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it,
I
but
mean, I'm
but
the same way. It's not
yeah,
like
right,
I'm,
right.
you
So
know,
it's like mentally, like at that point, do you feel like you're hurting yourself physically or mentally more? Like, what do you think you is works out you more, not your mind or your
well,
body?
they're both. I mean, because if I don't sleep, then I don't work out, which has been a problem. Like I haven't, I think I've talked about this, especially with the arm situation. Dude, I haven't worked out. I've done a couple of workouts, but I haven't. I mean, I'm a good 6 months
Yeah,
of like not do like I am at baseline zero fitness right now. Like if I walked into a gym right now, I'd be like, okay, I'm kind of starting at zero right now. Um, so one thing affects the other thing. I mean, it definitely affects my mental state, you know. Um, but you know, man, like and I think you're probably the same way. Like, become excessively good at grinding it out, you know,
I like the grind.
grinding through it. But I'm with you, man. I'm a 6 hour sleep is perfect.
Yeah,
All right, 5 hours sleep, I can definitely still function very well. Anything under 5 hours, 4 hours, I start to feel it all day. I feel that drag all day. If I get too much, if I get 8 hours, man, I feel a drag. So there's a space in there. Every once in a while, every once in a while, I will if I've had like, and I'm also one of those people I can't keep going on that 4 hour a night, 3 hour a night, 5 hour a night, 3 hour a night, 2 hour a night thing. I can't keep going on that too long, and then eventually I have to have a night where like I'll get in bed at midnight and I'll get up at 11 a.m. or something
yeah.
where I just like I have to sleep it out, you know. Uh,
When we're on tour and stuff, I always if we wake up at a gig from on a bus ride, like obviously you four guys are different because we're there for you, but like when I wake up on the bus, I always feel weird if like even if like I physically can't get my case or do anything until 10 a.m. If I'm up at 6 or 6:37 and the crew's already inside, I feel like I have to wake up and kind of just grab a cup of coffee, walk around, and just talk shit. It just
yeah,
like
yeah,
morale boost slash get in
yeah.
the way of their work. But like,
Right, that's what you got to
I always feel like,
do.
I always feel like if someone's up working, why aren't I? Or at least why aren't I being productive?
Yeah, I've always had a hard time with that, man. I do not like the feeling of someone else is working and I'm not. And I know that's actually one of my issues on tour. I think I've said this before, is like I kind of wish I had like another job on tour. Like
Yeah,
like I could like I was, hey Eric, you have to like make sure the radios are charged all day, or something. Like, because it's like I'm bored, man. And that's another reason why I do sleep a lot on tour because I if I get up early, I have to, like, this is why I get up early here because I have stuff to do. I have tons of stuff to do. I can be creative. I can, you know, and that's why I'm trying to set myself up for this next touring cycle to have more things to do. I've got the book to finish and get sent off and done. This video editing thing, right, is maybe could be a thing, like filming stuff and editing. And um, so, I'm trying to kind of get something together to where I feel like I'm being productive on tour because that's a huge thing with my mental health and with my, just all around health is when I'm on tour, I'm useless except for 2 hours a night. And it's like that to me is like it's like being in a cage. Like being on tour is like being in a cage. It's like being a broken robot. Like I have this function that I'm really good at all of these things and I can't do a single one of them while I'm on tour. I'm just taking up space. And then I get wheeled out on stage for 2 hours. I do the thing and I'm done with my
Right.
day. And so, I'm with you, man. Like I would love to like get up in the morning on tour and like get going with my day and do the thing, right? I mean, I completely understand where you're at because if people are busy around me, you know, I have to like, oh, that's the worst feeling of like,
Yeah.
what can I do? And they were like, nothing. I'm like, I don't want to do nothing. Like, what can
Well,
I
do you
do?
ever get like FOMO? Do you ever feel like sometimes when you, if say it's like one day at the hotel and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna stay in, I got some work to do, and then you hear about like, oh, you guys went fishing there, you hiked there. Like, do you ever
Yeah.
get like, fuck, I wish. Like, do you ever feel like you're missing out on something, or is that part of that explanation of like the work?
No, no, I don't have it as much as I do with like fun stuff. I mean, look, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you guys decide you're going to go fishing and you don't call me, like I'd be bummed about it. I'm like,
Right,
oh,
right, 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 right,
great,
right. Yeah, yeah.
awesome, thanks, I appreciate that invite. But here's the thing, man. Sometimes y'all invite me and I don't go, right? Um, and but I always say this is every time there's not been a time that I did go that I was mad that I went. You know,
Right.
I'm always happy I went. It's getting out of the hotel on a day off after you're,
Oh, for sure.
you just
Bumpy
kind of want to,
roads. It's
yeah,
like it's just shitty night before, like
yeah.
whatever. I mean, I get it.
But
What
no, but I definitely get that. I mean, honestly, man, I get it more about going out. At night with everybody. Like I can't drink anymore, man. Like I've talked about that. I'll have one or two beers on the boat if I'm out fishing or something, but that's it. Like I don't really do any more than two. Three if like I'm feeling,
yeah.
insane. And of course I have to operate the boat too, but that has less to do has less to do with that and more to do with just, I don't like the way I feel hungover.
Yeah.
I like being clear-headed. I really do. I like being like even when Kelly and I go to dinner, it's like this sort of decision I have to make. Not that I'm going to drink and drive either, but like if I'm going to have a glass of wine, like do I really want to do that? Because then but the thing is I can't go out and because I'm so socially weird and awkward, I guess, is that like especially if everyone else is like loose and having a good time and I'm not, I'm just like I'm I don't know what to say, I don't know what to talk about. I'm kind
Right,
of
right,
awkward.
right.
So that is that desire to drink and to throw down and I just don't really want to do that. So that's when I really that's the time, man. It's like, man, when everybody's out, like you guys go to a pub in Europe or something, or whatever
At
on
Christmas
an
market at 2 a.m. and we're walking around. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm like, fuck, man, I do miss that. I miss that, like being foggy and just like throwing down and talking too loud and meeting people and making friends with strangers and like I do miss that stuff, man. I get FOMO about that pretty bad, but I also have to kind of tell myself it's like, well, it's one or the other, man. You're gonna, you know, you can either be clear-headed and do things that are better for your mental health, i.e., watching a podcast or reading a Bible or doing
Yeah.
whatever, that's or working on a project or whatever it is that's going to move you forward in life and help you grow, or you can go out and throw down. And there's a place for all of that. I mean, I maybe not getting super super drunk, but there's a place for
Yeah.
all of
I mean,
that.
as I've gotten older, I've kind of realized how many like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday mornings I've woken up and just wasted the day
Yeah.
because I was partying the night before. It's like I
And
actually like
it
waking
gets
up.
worse. It gets worse when you get older too.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's what it is, man. It's like I know that if I throw down,
Oh God, you probably yell for a day at
yeah, I
least.
mean a good day. I mean I can get up and go. I've had to get up and go, right? It's not like it doesn't happen, but I mean, dude, I used to just like it was so much fun, man, when we would like throw parties after shows, and like everybody would be backstage throwing down, and it was just like, yeah, this is great, man. It didn't matter if it was just the crews and bands, like it didn't have to be,
Right.
too wild.
Load up
Uh,
buddies.
Yeah, dude, like there's a part of me that just like I am s- I am so envious of Tony Palermo, right? Because Tony will like
He's
dude, he's happy all the time. He can throw down still and not in an annoying way to like uh I don't know how to put it, man, but like Tony's like he's figured it out. I think he's cracked the code on how to like
He
continue to have
manipulated
a
it. Yeah.
like a fun party life but not ruin your life, you know?
Right.
And uh and just be like again, be that guy that everybody wants to be around, you know? Um so I don't know. I don't have that thing. I'm a lot more fun when I'm drinking for sure. Like I used to have so much fun, man. And I'm serious and brooding when I'm not, you know, and it's
Yeah.
just I don't know.
What the the video for Azalea, like that actress, I thought did an awesome job. Like, is
He,
that her first gig doing something like that,
yeah,
or
dude,
like
she's not an actress. That's the amazing thing.
that's so
She's just
wild?
she is a her name is Allison Forbes and she's a strength and conditioning coach uh, at the gym that I used to go to that I still go to occasionally. But she's also a yoga instructor. Um,
Is this
and
Dino's gym? Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah.
That's Ethos in Charleston, South Carolina. But she has her own company. Like she's an independent trainer. Like she owns her own company. I think called Forbes Fitness, I think is what it's called. Um, but she's also a great singer, and she's in a couple of bands. She's in a band called Rooks and Raven here in town. She's got this very like sort of Joss Stone, Grace Potter sort of smoky voice
Yeah.
thing going on. But here's the thing, man, is like she was my yoga instructor for a while. And so I'd see her a couple times a week, during pandemic especially. Um, but I would always see her in the gym. Uh, but anyway, she's just a great human being. Like if you look up really good human being in the dictionary, her face should be there. Um, but here's the thing, man. Like I talk about anxiety. I was talking earlier about anxiety of making something and not knowing what things are going to be. And um, the day before we started filming all of these videos, I got everyone who plays characters together, and we put on the wardrobe, we put on the makeup, like we mocked up the makeup for everybody. Um, and we picked out what the outfits were going to be for everybody, and we picked out her outfit. She looked great. Um, and then the next day, we're on site, we're on location, and she gets the makeup back on, and everything gets the whole get up on, and again, we talked about how I've never directed anything before, and so I'm nervous about that. We had a couple of like crisis things happen like in the moment that I've talked about this too. I was proud that I could solve these problems really fast because usually I'm like, you know, anyway, we got through all this stuff. We get to the location. You know, I'm looking at her through on the monitor through the camera, and the second that I called action and I saw her on camera, I was like, and I said cut for the first time, which was probably the last time I said cut because I was really bad about saying cut. That became a thing. Like I'd be like, okay, let's move, because I'm used to doing audio where you just like you hit the button and you're like, okay, let's move on. Uh, and I was really bad about calling cut. And everybody's like looking at me, waiting on me to call cut. And so we have like all this extra footage of stuff where I never called cut. Uh, but anyway, the first time that we got done with that, man, and I saw her on there, and the first time I called cut, I was like, I don't know if I've ever been more relieved about something because like I knew she was going to look good on film, but like she looked really good and she was convincing and she was the character. And um she's never acted before, like ever. And it's so mind-boggling to me, man, that like, and I mean, there's no speaking parts or anything, but like, and she's been in her own music videos before. But that was, kind of
Yeah.
performing stuff, right? Uh, but she's a performer, right? So that was the good thing about it. I really needed somebody, obviously, who was athletic
Physically,
and
she looked like she looked like she was actually like working out like a post-apocalyptic world. Like
yeah,
it
she was,
looked brooding.
dude, yeah, she's so good, man. And she was the first female strength and conditioning coach at the Citadel.
Oh shit.
So yeah, so I think she worked with the baseball team, maybe. Um,
Much as I
maybe she
hate
worked
to
with all
send
the
it
teams,
out.
but she,
Yep.
yeah, but anyway, man, she did such a good job. Like, and yeah, she's very much the artist, like a lot of us are. Where she's like, I was like, do you want to see any of this? No, I don't want to see anything because I'm just gonna, she didn't want to
Yeah,
see anything.
nitpick it.
She didn't want to see anything after she'd filmed. She's like, I don't want to get inside my own head. She never saw anything. And then finally, I was like, you know. Do you want me to send you the video before it comes out? Because we honestly we finished the color grading on that video like the day before it came out. Like everything always gets pushed right to the moment. That's why some of the teasers, the color grade is different than on the actual video, meaning the colors are a little richer on the video and different. Uh, and she's finally like, yeah, yeah, send it over. So I sent it over to her, and she was so excited, and she should have been, man, because the whole time I'm watching this thing, I'm just like, she looks so beautiful on film. Like her facial expressions and the emotion is coming. Everything that I told her to do emotionally, she did.
Right.
You know, and so it's amazing that she's never done anything like that. But hopefully she'll do more, of that kind of stuff because she's really good at it. And I think that yeah, I think she could totally uh she should expand what she does in her band's music videos maybe, right? And like
Right.
do more acting in them and stuff. So
What did you while you were filming the stuff at night, did you see any drones or anything that weren't supposed to be there? Or...
no, man. No drones. Well, our drones that we were using to film
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, that was stuff was around. Yeah, dude, the drone thing is look, you and I have talked about this and I've seen a bunch of other people talk about it. I think I know what it is, right? And uh they're obviously not from another country. They're obviously not aliens. Because neither one of those things, either Iran or Russia or interdimensional travelers are going to be using red and green navigation lights.
Correct.
Those lights are there because of civil aviation to keep people from keep airplanes from running into those drones and to keep everybody as safe as possible. So it's our government. They know what's going on. There's a reason for it. They're probably looking for something, probably something nefarious.
Yeah. Most likely.
Most likely, I mean, look, it's out there. Like I've seen people talking about it, and I think it's the most plausible thing, and it's not to be a panic-inducing thing, but I've seen, three or four different people that know what they're talking about and talking about how they're probably looking for a nuclear warhead
Right.
that's
What
probably on
what
that's probably
of yeah, through
that's probably on the loose. That there was some information that there was a I don't again I I'm not an expert on this,
no, this
but
is all hearsay, but
this is what I've heard from people who know a lot about
correct.
stuff
Yeah, yeah.
is that we won't say who, but this is what I've heard, and you can find this stuff out there. It's not like this is secret stuff, but that at the end of the Cold War, I didn't know this, but there were like 80 to 85 nuclear warheads in Ukraine that went unaccounted for, and it's still unaccounted for. Russian nuclear warheads that no one knows where they are. That's a lot. But evidently, one of these nuclear warheads, somebody, a whistleblower of some sort, actually put their hands on this thing, like touched it, and this thing, and it's headed an informant type, and said, told the U.S. government like this thing is headed to the U.S. and the U.S. government did nothing about it. And evidently, I don't know if that's what this is. I have no idea. But these drones are first of all, I say, well, they're the size of a car. Yeah, I don't know if you've looked at like you can find it everywhere. Like our military has these drones that are like the size of a compact car,
Yeah.
and they have the eight propellers on them, and they're huge. And they're used for usually for what they call sniffing, like trying to detect something. And the fact that this is all happening around major ports, Maryland, New Jersey, New
Yeah.
York. Thank God they haven't. I mean, maybe they will make their way down to the port of Charleston. I don't know, and this also explains the out over the ocean thing as well. Is they are probably sniffing around these container ships, trying to see if it senses any radioactive material, and then all around those ports and inland from those ports where this thing, whether it was in a container or in an automobile that was in a container, or it's on a ship, or there's a submarine, or that has come across um, our sensors that's not supposed to be there, whatever it is that they're trying to find, whatever this thing is, and the fact that, you know, it's like whenever I see these people, oh, we're gonna shoot down these drones, like don't shoot down the drones. For God's sakes, like let the drones do whatever the fuck the drones want to do at this point.
It's your
You
point,
know,
though, and not even playing devil's advocate. The reason why I think people act that way is because no one's telling them the truth, which is
right?
something
Well,
we've talked about where the truth might be, at what point does you let the truth out where it could cause more damages than actual,
yeah,
like, chaos? If the East Coast starts running around New York City, people start flooding, and I've heard even reports of leaving LA, like all these major cities, like does that actually get in the way of trying to figure out if this is this problem, how do we stop this and mitigate this?
yeah. So I think that it would behoove. Look, there's a wild mistrust of our government now, and
Oh
I think
fuck.
and rightly so. We've talked about this,
Yes.
like rightly so. They've done themselves no favors, especially after COVID and lying to everybody, not telling anybody the truth about any of that. Why are they going to tell us the truth about anything?
Well, even the January
Uh,
6th stuff is coming out now where it's like, all these
yeah,
FBI undercover, it's just
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah. Uh, and so rightly so. And I'm the same way, dude. I'm like, up until I heard about this stuff, I was doing the same thing. I was like, I know it's our government. Like, there's no way that our government is going to let anything circle around our skies and not completely dismantle it, right?
Yeah.
That's just so. Uh, and also, man, this also makes me wonder, like, what that balloon was that was floating out
Oh, the
over our
Chinese
skies.
balloon,
What,
right?
what was it Chinese? Like everybody says it's Chinese. Maybe it wasn't.
Correct.
Maybe it was ours. Maybe we're like, hey, we need to float this thing across. We're going to see if we can detect something, and then when it gets out over the ocean, we're going to blow it out of the sky to make it look like it wasn't supposed to be there. But we're collecting data over a vast area about, maybe they, who knows,
Yeah, I
right?
know for sure.
But the problem is our government should say these are ours. We're looking for something. Just do that. And I know
Or
people, I know people go, well, what are you looking for? And it's like, at least let people know so they stop freaking out about these drones. But also, man, like there's a part of me that goes, yeah, again, and I'm not saying that I'm correct about a nuclear warhead, but that is
correct.
like what has been like
That makes the most sense that they're actively looking for something that could cause harm.
yeah, I heard about this days ago, days and days ago, and then I started seeing people talk about it after that, right?
Yeah.
So it's to me it's the most plausible thing. Um, or maybe they're looking for a person, and everybody's go, why at night? Why at night? It's like because everything's calm at night.
Yeah. Also, the
You
heat
know,
vision and
yeah,
detection's easier too.
yeah. You're if you're looking for something radioactive, not that you won't be able to find it during the day. There's all sorts of stuff going on, MRI machines
Yeah.
and like whatever else
Solar. I mean,
going on
yeah.
during the day that is not going to be going on at night. So that's why at night, and that's why over the ocean, I think, and that's why around these port areas, that's what's going on. Um, but I don't know. So
I want the
don't.
alien invasions. I mean, I read somewhere.
I want the alien invasion in helicopters with navigation lights because that's what this is. That's
I want Bill Pullman as president sending Randy Quaid into a mothership. But like, I read that, and this is obviously a wild theory, that one we always talk about,
yeah.
that the visible drones we see now and stuff, like UAPs and all that stuff we're seeing now, are actually kind of like the good alien type things, and they're actually making us aware of these bad alien types. UFOs, they're actually using cloaking capabilities and have been spying on us. And it's like I just love that it's such a Hitchcockian kind of like War of the Worlds like vibe.
Dude, well, I mean, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, just go back and read. And I have not read this stuff. I know about it, so I can't give you any specific details. But go back and read the Hindu texts.
Yes.
Like that's all that the Bhagavad Gita, I believe, is just it basically like reads like a sci-fi novel, about how these warring factions of beings in the sky were fighting each other, and there was a battle in the sky, and it was, you know, like, so you're talking like thousands and thousands of years of this stuff going on, right?
To go
Uh,
back to like the
Good
idea,
versus evil, you know?
yeah, like the idea of something breaking our boundaries or like getting close to our homeland. It part of me, growing up, I've always been like, I believe that our government had the best interest of us. Now I'm like, how much of this is the bad guys always adapting, which we all know,
Yep.
versus our own government allowing something like this to happen, and just
Yeah,
the
that's the
complete incompetence of the current administration.
yeah, I mean that's what I mean, look, we talked a couple last week or a couple weeks ago about like how everybody's out for themselves and it's
Yeah,
all about
just
it's all about, you know, look, the thing is, man, is I promise you without a doubt that uh if they had intelligence that a nuclear warhead was headed to Martha's Vineyard,
oh,
uh yeah, it would have been taken care of a long time ago,
right.
right? It's and look, man, I have a hard time putting myself into the headspace of somebody who would hear about the potential for
Mass
no matter
casualties.
what,
Yeah.
whether it's nuclear or just war, that hears about the potential of hundreds and thousands, hundreds of thousands, whatever, tens of thousands, 100 people dying and just being like, yeah, okay, cool, that's all, I'm good with that, you know, like I don't understand that. And that's why I have to believe in absolute evil because those things happen. Like there are people who are just fine with that because it can enrich them.
Right.
Um, I would like to think that that's why these drones actually make me, if this is what's going on, I actually like it makes me feel better because in my dystopian, uh, you know, dystopian America mind, I go, yeah, they probably know there's a nuclear war and they're not going to do shit about it. You know, they're just going to let it go off, right?
Ugh.
Yet, if this is what's happening with the drones, if again, I'm trying to panic people. This is just what I have. I probably have no more real actionable intelligence than the next stupid American. But uh, this is just where I've arrived at it after listening to a lot of people who know a lot about a lot of things. But the fact that the drones are there, if that's what they're doing, makes me feel better about, oh, there are people who actually give a shit and who don't want things like this to happen, you know. Um, so, is it, are they starting, the fact that they're around Maryland now and some people have said around Virginia, I'm like, oh, is this thing headed to DC? And now they're worried,
Well, yeah,
because
with the inauguration and everything. I mean,
that's their backyard, right?
correct.
Or is it a New Year's Eve thing in NYC, right? I thought about that. But I don't know, man. I think that so Hamza bin Laden, who is Hamza bin Laden, who is Osama bin Laden's son, is
Yes.
running Al Qaeda now, but he runs
Yes.
it like super underground and quiet. And if anybody who's watched the Sean Ryan podcast, I forget the woman's name who's just on it, but
She's
she is a
awesome. She's just
yeah
on again too. Yeah.
CIA. Well, she doesn't work for the CIA. She's a counterterrorist analyst, right?
Yeah.
She's like she knows more about terrorism and terrorist
Yeah.
activities than anybody else in the world.
Like she was talking about the training footage with Al Qaeda.
The training footage with
Yeah.
training footage. Sorry.
Yes.
Um. Yeah.
Maybe.
She she I'm so much trouble now. Um. But she was talking about Hamza bin Laden. It's the first time I've never heard of Hamza bin Laden until I watched this, and it's like, oh, that's Osama bin Laden's son, and he doesn't want the heat. He doesn't. He's not like his dad, where he's putting videos out and all. He's like, he doesn't want anybody to know that
If
he's
we're
even
gonna do
there.
this, let them know. Let them guess where we are. Yeah.
Yeah, and that something else I didn't know is she said that it doesn't matter if it's ISIS or Hamas or the Houthis or what's the one in Iran, the Hezbollah,
Yep.
that at the head of that is Al Qaeda and the Taliban. They're orchestrating all of this stuff that happens. Anything, uh, Muslim extremist ideology type of terrorism that goes on. I thought that was super, super interesting, man. And that just how organized it all is, you know. And she's talking about this attack that's going to happen in the US. Like oh, it's happening. It's going to happen. Like and she said that over our southern border, she knows of over 1,000 fighters, like Taliban fighters that are in the United States that came in, just walked in from the southern border of the United States. So you talk about our government just letting people. I think there are pockets of our government that want these things to happen because it means they can control. Look, the,
War.
no one in government is blind to what happened after 9/11 as far as taking away the rights of citizens. You know,
What
the
the
Patriot
Patriot
Act
Act
and
and
like
stuff. Yeah,
the
yeah.
Fourth Amendment went out the window. Now they still have it in place in the Constitution, but it doesn't really exist anymore.
On paper they have it, but
Yeah, on
yeah.
paper it exists, but they've got workarounds now where they can just spy on whoever they want and do whatever they want to do. Sometimes is that good? Like maybe what we're seeing with these drones, like they have intelligence and they got, you know, look, man, I gotta say, yeah, probably it's probably great sometimes, but the other things that it gets used for, you know, like literally this conversation we're having right now will be saved forever on a server somewhere,
Yeah.
forever and ever and ever, and people will be able to access it. The phone conversation that even if you and I were just doing a Zoom meeting, not to
Correct.
broadcast, like
Correct. Just
right
private.
now
Private recording.
as we're
Yeah.
recording this, this is being saved.
Yeah.
Our you know our text conversations, phone conversations, you know every
It's
single bit of data that your cell phone camera picks up is saved as metadata somewhere that can be accessed and turned back into video if they so choose, and they don't have to ask anybody about it. They just that's what Edward Snowden was talking about. So anyway, I would like to think that there aren't people like that in our government who are you know what do they stand to gain from doing that? Well, the more control that they can put over people, it enables them to get away with more things. And I think that's what it comes down to is like there are people who think solely with their they have this they are sociopaths who or psychopaths who only thing they can think about is gaining more power, more money, more prestige for themselves. And that's it at the end of the day. And so what does it take to do that? Well, it's going to take some death and destruction to get to that point, to get me what I want. And unfortunately, those people are the ones that are at the top of most things because who else is going to think? The people who end up in power are the people who can't stop thinking about it, you know?
correct. Yeah.
And so we end up with this just that's why governments are corrupt. It's not like, you know, and occasionally you get someone who wants to do good, who comes in and like maybe they can't clean house, but they can come in and like give everybody a breath for a second. And then once they're, you know, once they've moved on, then or they get corrupted, whichever one, you know, then everybody starts pouncing back in and causing chaos again to get power, you know, get to start regaining power and money and whatever. Um, but yeah, man, I just
I find it
th-
unfortunate that because the media has made us everyone so on edge and that to hate people and like I think the media is complicit in
oh,
stoking the racism fire in this
yep,
country, even
for
the
sure.
world. But so they play all these cards and they play these hands to try and divide us. Yet so if they were to put out there, hey, we have a possible weapon, mass destruction type thing that came from this part of the world, because we're so pre-programmed by the media. I mean, I think people can see the truth, but like some people are so blinded by the media rhetoric that they're gonna hear, oh, it's from Iran, that anyone looks like Iranian or that Middle Eastern. Now they're gonna stoke the racism fire by people who are idiots who now think that anyone who looks Middle Eastern is a possible terrorist, and
Well,
it's just like it's
we went through
crazy,
that already, right? We went through that
right?
after 9/11.
It's
That was a
wild to
big
me.
deal. My buddy Andy Afsar, who Andy is Iranian.
Oh, is this the guy that went to the wrong show this past
Yeah,
year?
yeah, 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 yeah. Is Andy? His mother
That's the
got
best.
him out of Iran when the Shah was overthrown, and they came to the United States. And I went to high. He went to the same high school I went to, and really great friend. But he talked about like after 9/11, he flies all the time for work, and he would just like he's like every time I go through the airport, man. This is after 9/11. He's like I just walk up to him, let's get this over with, like just let's go, you know, and yeah, man, I mean that is a look. I mean, it's why unfortunately, Japanese were put in internment camps after World or during
Right.
World War II, citizens of the United States, and no one wants to really talk about that. That kind of gets swept under the rug a good bit. Um, but Japanese American citizens, being put into camps so that we could keep an eye on them because we didn't know who we could trust. Um, and we know that that's not really an option. So, look, man, at the end of the day, what I said earlier about turning things over to God and just trusting that, like, look,
Yeah.
man, I can't. I have no control over what's going to happen. I have no control over how I'm going to die, how I'm going to what's going to befall me or my family. I can only uh I do have control over how I live, and I have control over how I react to things. And sometimes I react poorly to things, and sometimes I react better than I thought I would. Um but one thing is, man, is if you put your faith in God, that you can there's a comfort and a peace that comes with that. And it's like I can only control what's here, and I really can't control that, and so I have to just sort of have not not this naive trust in humanity, because you can't trust humanity, but trusting God that, like, hey man, even the terrible things have a purpose, and I'm not sure what that is, but I'm not supposed to know, and so um just try to protect my family and try to protect my friends and myself, and be a be some light for people in the world, and um use my talents for good. And knowing that that's not how everybody thinks, and hopefully at the end of the day, uh uh the light is stronger. And I had this thought this morning, and I was actually I did lay in bed I had my alarm set for 6, and I slept in until 7 this morning, but I was kind of laying there after my first alarm went off, and I was kind of thinking about things, and I don't know why I was thinking about light and dark, and the fact that light is much stronger than dark, man. Like, you but right now this room is lit up completely, and if I turn off the lights in here, you're still going to see light. And how uh you can bring a little bit, like I could bring the darkest, I forget what it's called. There's this black that they've created that is the darkest black paint you've ever, like, it literally has,
Interesting.
if you paint something with this, you can see no form in it. Like, it just, like, people have painted their car this color, and you can't see any lines on the car because it's just like no light reflects off of it. Like, it just, everything gets
Interesting.
absorbed.
Yeah.
And so it looks like a black hole. I could bring a piece of that in here right now and hold it up, and it's just going to be a black dot around all this light. But if this was a completely dark room, completely blacked out, and I brought that much light in, it would light up the whole place, and you'd be able to see everything in this room with that much light. If it had been completely dark in here. So light, and in a physical sense and in a metaphoric sense, light is way more powerful than dark. But think about what I just said. Like, in order to make this room black, I would have to bring in an immense amount of dark to black this room out. To make this room light, I only have to bring in this much light. And so it does seem like the dark forces and this darkness around us is always so pervasive, man. It's always, again, we've talked about pushing down, and and but it only takes a few of us, man, doing really, really great things. And there's more than a few of us. It's probably, I would the preponderance of people are, I would say, while they don't think about it, most people are good people, and most people would like to see good. Doesn't mean they're not idiots. Doesn't mean they don't drive well. It doesn't mean that, all these things that we get mad at people about every day. Uh, I had somebody cut me off in a parking lot a couple of days ago. I'm like, what are you, like, needlessly cut me off in the middle of a parking lot? And I was just like, but that person's probably not a bad person. They probably just cut me off in a parking lot. The and I was not acting very well that morning, actually. I was bringing a lot of that stuff to myself because it's amazing how that happens too. I was like, since I left the house, I was just angry, and like all this stuff started going wrong. I was like, I'm inviting this stuff in.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, my point being is that, you know, these major terrible events are going to happen. They just continue to happen throughout time. I mean, they seem like they're accelerating. It seems like we go through, how many once in a lifetime experiences every month, you know, nowadays. But uh and look, man, if you read the Bible and you trust those things, we all know that again, that's where I come from, is that we are eventually we do head toward all like chaos, you know. And so it's not like we just try to keep it as but ultimately that doesn't win. Chaos doesn't win. And so um look, man, I just have faith and pray for good things to happen and then not for bad things to happen and for my family to be safe and my friends to be safe and for America to be safe and for France to be safe and Germany, and and Burma to be safe. It's not called Burma anymore. It's called Myanmar.
Myanmar. Yep.
Like again, the world, like no one wants, other than a few very dark people, no one really wants all of it wants destruction and chaos. So, um, I just try to just, I can't worry about it. Danny Trejo,
Machete.
who's also a Christian. He said
Yes.
he said you can't have um, worry and faith can't exist in the same place. So either you've prayed and you have faith that things are going to be what they are, then you shouldn't worry. And
Right.
if you're worried, then maybe you should try having faith. And I struggle with faith a bit, and so I do worry some, and I go back and forth. But I'm trying to get more into the space of not worry, and again, turn some things over to God recently, and it's been very very cathartic, man. Just to go, okay, this thing that seems disastrous right now is not disastrous because it's exactly what's supposed to happen.
Right.
And so let's just keep moving forward. And you know what, man? There's a lot of peace in that, and there's a lot of truth in that too. So with these big world events that I can't, like drones in the sky in New Jersey that maybe you're looking for a nuclear warhead, I can't do anything about it. If aliens come down, I can't do anything about it. I can continue to be. That's what I
Right.
can do. So,
I, the drone thing is for me to go back on this. If it was like a, you always wonder like why here, why now, but like if it's like a, I know we've talked about like the like this is like consciousness and maybe this is more of a religious type
yeah,
understanding of like what these
spiritual.
beings are, right? Spirituality.
Sure.
I wonder at what point does the half, what times the global populace could, if this was a spiritual type UFO type thing, and we at a point now where half the populace is in a crux where the dark is kind of overtaking the light, or like at what point is like do we is in a mass like visual like the Magigoria or like the lady Virgin Mary appeared in the sky to those three kids
Hmm.
type thing happen where
Our Lady of Fatima,
I
right?
really found it, but yeah,
Yeah.
where that thing appear, where that something like that happens at a global level, where it's like we're at the crux of civilization, where good and evil right now are they're towing the line. It's like part of me wants that to happen, but it's like I don't. Again, to your point, I don't know if it's if the it will be. Kind of, I don't like how often is I think inherently we're people we're good people. We're faulty, mistake prone, but we're
Oh yeah.
decent humans. But how we have people that pray about, but there's not that many people that are actively praying for the downfall. Like there's not like, and I'm not talking atheism or like Satanists because they believe in something even if it's nothing, right? I'm talking about people that just like breed in darkness and hate. Like I find it like how they have equal footing, right? It kind of doesn't make any sense.
Well, again, I think it seems equal because darkness always seems more pervasive. Like it always does. It always seems like uh there's but because it takes more of it. Like I guess that's the
Yeah,
point I was making is like
right.
it takes more. You have to just keep pouring darkness in to keep the darkness there, and uh I don't know, man. I wish that I mean, I guess if I had an answer to that, I'd be a philosopher or something. I don't really have
Right.
a great answer to that, but it's just um it always feels like darkness is winning.
Yeah, it does. I
But
think
it
because
but
we spend half our day in darkness too, though. Like the actual, the whole like sun and the moon, like that whole. We actually
yeah, we got to
spend
do
half
away
our
with this.
life
We got to do away with this daylight savings time thing, um,
for
for
sure.
sure. Yeah, like I
Get rid of it.
wildly can't stand it.
Right.
I'd rather wake up in the morning, have it be dark in the morning, and then have extra light at night. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Uh, I love that. That's what I love about summer. It's like, yeah. Uh, but yeah, man. I look the it, and here's the thing, man. How many people? And this is maybe the something interesting that, and I guess I shouldn't apologize for this. I always feel like I should apologize whenever I start talking about religion because I don't want to alienate anybody who doesn't believe in, and that's not
Yeah,
the
of
point.
course.
It's just, I think we can apply this to all good and evil here, but um, this just like what I just did, apologizing for talking about it. We've been the best trick that the devil ever pulled, I think, was making it unacceptable for people to talk about faith and to talk about anything other than evil.
Yeah.
Like we talk about the devil all day long, man.
Correct.
Devil's cool, man. Like and and I'm not saying AC/DC is devil music. God, I love AC/DC.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like it's cool. It's cool to see the to see Angus Young with the devil horns on the thing and it's like, yeah, man. Like that is socially amazing and like I love it, right? That says a lot about it.
Right.
It's rock and roll. It's sex, drugs, and rock and roll is like that's what we gravitate toward.
Yeah.
Um, it's hard to make goodness cool and to make goodness, you know, that's the best trick that was ever pulled. Like, don't talk about that because it makes me uncomfortable. Don't talk about religion because it makes me uncomfortable. Uh, whereas but you can talk about Pornhub all day long, you know.
Correct.
Um, that's the best trick that was ever pulled. But I have to feel like how many people under the surface are all praying for good and are all praying for each other, and we don't know about it. We don't talk about it, you know. Um, you know, there's a resurgence, man, going on. Um, it's very interesting where uh I mean the number one book, I think it's on Amazon right now,
Yeah. Jordan Peterson.
We Who Wrestle with God.
The
You
number
know,
one
that
show is The Chosen about Jesus' life. Number one show in
right.
the world.
Yeah. So there we go. It's like and again, I'm not here to I honor everyone's faith, whatever that is. Like we've talked about this a bunch.
Yeah, of course.
Like I've had great conversations with people who are Sikh or people who are Hindu or people who are Buddhist or Jewish, Muslim. I'm not here to I'm not I'm not here evangelizing right now. I'm just saying that uh, there is definitely more going on than we know about in that way, and it always appears as if darkness is winning. That's the illusion, and that illusion is going to continue until the final battle,
Right.
until there's that final showdown between good and evil. Evil is always going to seem stronger, dude. Star Wars this is why Lucas is a genius because evil took over the entire galaxy of Star Wars with a Sith Lord and an apprentice. There's only two
Which is
ever.
wild. Yeah.
Overthrew all of the Jedi, overthrew all the goodness. Just those two, you know. And it's always going to seem as though it's stronger. And it is in certain ways, man. It does have more legs when it comes to social change and that sort of thing. And uh but um here's what good has that evil doesn't have. Good has, and this is, oh man, I'm gonna get in trouble for a lot of this probably, but
Oh yeah.
good people have the capacity for suffering. Good people have the capacity to push through things that darkness will never be able to push through. You know,
Yeah.
and um, it's from a Christian perspective. People say, well, why is there all this suffering in the world? Why is all this suffering? Why do these bad things happen if Jesus is real, if God is real? Well, I don't know if you know the story of Jesus, but that's the ultimate suffering, you know. Couldn't get out of it, suffered and died on a cross, right? So there's that thing where goodness is founded on suffering in a lot of ways. And so the capacity to for good to prevail good is always going to prevail because it has the capacity to push through faith, through uh, um, fortitude, to push through things that evil will never be able to push through. Evil will give up in a heartbeat, find another way around it,
Right.
figure it out. Again, wants to win, but doesn't like discomfort or anything like that. And so I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just rambling at this point, but I think about these things a lot. That's why maybe sometimes I don't have a way of putting these things into words, but like what you and I are talking about right now is like kind of
Yeah.
my default mode, like what my brain thinks about an awful lot. When I work out, whenever that is, whenever I get back to it,
Right.
whenever I work out or run, um, I forget who I was talking to about this the other day. I was talking to someone about this, about uh, the fact that uh, when I work out or run, I will try to think about concepts like about Jesus or about good and evil or whatever. And I don't listen to music. So I'll just think about those things. And that starts me off thinking about other things probably too. And I'll arrive at some other places. But uh, it's definitely something hey, Rickard just walked in. Hey,
Oh,
Rickard,
nice.
you want to be on the podcast? We were just talking about you actually on the podcast. Come here. Come here. I was just
Needs a Rickard on a podcast.
Hey.
Oh, hey.
Hey,
Oh,
How's it
hey.
going?
we were talking about Rickard earlier. This is Rickard, everybody.
Hey,
He has his clothes on today. That's awesome.
He does have his clothes on. Um, but yeah, man, I think about I spend a lot of time thinking about this stuff, and maybe sometimes I'm not great at articulating, and I hope I was able to articulate something that
Yeah.
people
Well, I
and that's
always,
just the way I feel about it. But there, you're right, man. There is this like, what's with all the darkness? What's with all
yeah.
the evil? Um, we again, it's your evil wraps itself up in shiny things, and in things that seem awesome, and so people just naturally go for it, and then they get there and they realize some of them realize the smart ones, oh, this isn't it. And they can reverse course and figure it out. But there's always a fresh generation coming up underneath that is ripe for that stuff.
Right.
And
Because like even bad people that inflict pain on others don't want that type of lifestyle. They don't want to be
no.
right. But so it's like I'm always just like the idea of like if when you go through like the light at the end of the tunnel, like if
Hmm.
you reverse that and now say the dark at the end of the tunnel, no one is ever inherently saying my life is too good. I need some evil. I need some darkness in it. Right?
Well, but no, not
Right.
intentionally, I
Not
don't think.
intentionally. Like
Well, there are some. There are some people. I mean, look, man, like I have it on good authority about some of these like dark ritualistic Hollywood parties and
yeah, for
stuff that
sure.
go down, right?
What was that
And
owl party in the woods? The
oh, the Bohemian Grove.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's more world leader stuff. I'm talking about darker than that's a little more like Disney ritualistic. I mean, I'm talking about like eyes wide shut type shit,
Yeah,
but darker than that. That I have it on good authority takes place in some, um, that I've had people tell me about that. There are people who seek out that darkness, man, but to them it's not dark. To them it's fun. To them it's
right.
it's
It's a
you
Friday
know,
night.
it's sexual. It's you know,
Pushing taboos, it's
yeah,
boundaries.
but the thing is, man, is like I don't know if anybody who's and there are I know there are some people that listen to who live in Hollywood, who live in California. California's not. I'm not talking about the whole state. That 3 mile, 3 square mile.
Yes.
You know what TMZ stands for on TMZ? It's 3 mile zone. That's what they call Hollywood, the 3 mile zone.
Yep.
So it's like this 3 square mile block of Hollywood. And when I go there, I've said this before. I have to alter my personality somewhat to exist there, and I don't. That's what I don't like about it. It's not that it's that I've met so many great people there. Dude, one of my best friends in the world lives right in the middle of that, right? It's not all bad or anything, but it feels different. And it's a place that when you get there, it feels off. You can sense the desperation. Like there is a palpable sense of everybody is somebody. Look at me. I'm trying so hard to make all of you pay attention to me. Everyone does that, including me when I get there. Like it happens. Like it's like you get there and you're like, "Oh, I'm nobody here. Everybody, look, I'm somebody, I promise, and like everyone adapts to that thing of like, look at me, look at me, look at me. Like pay attention over here. I'm important, I'm important, I'm important. And it's idolatry at the end of the day. You're worshiping yourself, you're worshiping others, you know, and so that place is um uh it doesn't look like dark evil, right? But at the end of the day, it's like it's a black hole where you're never going to find what you're looking for. And eventually some of those people finally figure it out and they realize, oh, if I can now, I enjoy my work. I enjoy being an actor, an actress, or a movie producer, a musician, whatever it is. I still want to do this thing, but I've learned that there is no Emerald City at the end of the brick road. Like it's just more brick road, more brick road, more brick road, and I'm going down this path of never getting to the end. Have you seen the South Park episode, the Guitar Hero episode of South Park?
Yes.
And they have Heroin Hero, where you're just chasing the dragon the whole time, and it's just out of reach. And it's dude, that's actually very poetic too when you think about like the drug problems in Hollywood, the heroin issues. It's like the same. Heroin's just a chemical version of Hollywood. It's like, oh, I've got success one time, and now I just got to keep. Oh, it's just out of
Yeah, I'm
reach
gonna
the rest of the
chase the
time.
next thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And what you have to do to in that city to achieve what most people have to do or end up doing to achieve iconic status. I think that if and I don't know half of probably all of what they do or what goes into it, but it's not normal, it's not calm and it's not it's chaos and it's probably a lot of evil. Not all evil, but probably a lot of evil that goes on. So there are people who figure it out, and I think that's most people. Not saying I'm going back to the rest of the world now. We're leaving Hollywood. But I think most people in their lives chase something for a long time that is unattainable and not healthy. I've done it, um, and I still do it to some extent. But eventually you realize it's like, oh, that stuff's not real. This is real. You finally latch onto something, family, faith, friends, this or faith, family, friends. You latch onto this thing that's real, and you start finding happiness, and that's what goodness is. And I think that there's far more of that, man, than look. It's why, like, if I walk out of here right now, if I leave my house, I'm not going to see people having look, if evil was the way to go and Satan was the way to go,
Yeah.
and then I'd leave my house and I'd see people having rituals everywhere I look. You know what I mean? Like evil dark rituals. Uh, because that'd be the solution, and that's not the solution. We leave our house, and most of the time, barring traffic, yelling at people in traffic for being an asshole or whatever, blah blah blah. People are cordial to each other and kind. And
Yeah, they
most
try to
people
be.
are, how's your day? How's it going? Even people you don't know. Um, there's way more goodness, man. And um, you know, it's like gravity. Gravity is I mean, it's holding me down to this chair right now. It's holding you down, but we can overcome gravity. I can leap. Everybody seems like gravity is an undeniable force, but it's actually in the scheme of the natural forces in our world, it's a weak force. It's considered a weak force. Like gravity should be stronger than it is, but it's so much weaker than the electromagnetic force or any of the other natural forces we have. We can overcome it. And it's like gravity is like evil. It's like, yeah, it's here, it's holding me down, it's keeping me here, but I can jump, I can leap. And is it going to pull me back down? Yes. But we have the ability to overcome gravity, which we shouldn't be able to do. And it's the same
Right.
thing with good and evil. So, uh, evil is a weak force at the end of the day, um, and will not prevail. It just won't. And you know, doesn't mean it won't try. It won't pull us back down, but we can get it. We can get through it and over it.
I love it.
This went wildly spiritual.
Yeah, I like it. Well, it's different, right? Like it's. I don't
Well,
think enough.
I'll tell you why, man. Because my brain's been on that, and my heart's been on it lately. Because I've not been. Look, I'm not. I should. I guess as a Christian, I should push what I study. But I realize that there are a lot of folks in this world that have a lot of different religious sensibilities. So that's why I'm sensitive to that on here because this is a place for everyone. It really is. Um, I encourage everyone to find something like that in their life, to find faith, because uh, I've been in a place where I've been videos, records, music, don't have time for this. And I've stopped studying Bible. I've stopped reading it as much. I need to get back into it more than I have been. And it's really been on my mind a lot of like when I am in this thing, when I am studying something that is far greater than I am, that has the capacity for good, that instills good in the world, I'm a happier person. And so the past couple of days, I've started getting back to that, and so it's just been on my mind a bunch. But um, there is if you can do that, if you can study something, your religion, if you can study your religion and practice it, study it like 4 times a week and try to practice it all the time, your brain starts working differently. My depression lessens, it
Yeah.
because you start thinking about other people and not about yourself. And so or helping other people or um you start thinking about um you start thinking about things greater than just you. You don't ruminate on your problems as much. You think about other things, and it's
Yeah.
it's very healthy. So that's why I guess that's why maybe this has been such a spiritual episode of the Taco Tuesday
It's good though. People
podcast.
people need it.
Yeah, well, that's what I like about this, man. We just kind of talk about different stuff all the time. Um, what is
Next week it'll be werewolves and Fauci, and then after that it'll be
yeah,
just. I
why
mean, we'll
not?
just we'll go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I mean, I have had people ask me like, well, if you're a Christian, why do you talk about UFOs and all this stuff? And that has come up a few times, and it's like, and I believe me, I'm conscious, I'm cognizant of that, I'm conscious of that, but um, uh, I don't live in a world where those things can't coexist.
Yeah, but it's
You know?
also we're actively talking about. I mean, there's
Yeah.
no.
Look, at the end of the day, no matter what you believe, what your religion is, you believe in a God that created everything.
Right.
And everything means everything. Everything doesn't mean Earth. Everything means the universe and beyond.
Yeah, everything.
The other multi-universe, the multi-dimensional whatever. We talk about other dimensions. I'm talking about other dimensions. Like it is vast beyond our comprehension. And so, you know, uh, talking about spiritual things, meaning the orbs and stuff like that's obviously there. It exists. It's been created. So, uh, yeah. Anyway,
Awesome.
That's that's what that answers that question. Anybody who's hit me with those questions, I've had some of those questions on Instagram, and that's uh, that's my answer to that. So,
Yeah, love it.
all right,
Awesome. Good episode.
folks.
Deuces.